Okay, good morning. Special thank you to Rabbi Shmuel Zeitlin and Moti Zeitlin and Svi and Nachman Fried, Svi Goldring, my Rebbe Chaim Kramer and BRI and all those who are involved. Welcome. We're in Torah Dalet of the first part of the Likutim run, and we learned the first 7 paragraphs, like Bekias, if you want to call it that, and then what we did was learn it Be'iyun. We started Be'iyun. So that was just 2 weeks ago. We're still in the first paragraph. I hope, as well, Hashem, we will finish it soon, and then we'll go to Vidui Dvarim, which is a very interesting subject because it's been the bullet that has been used against Breslov for many years. But when one does, I wouldn't even call it Iyun, when one starts to scratch the surface of the source for Vidui Dvarim, you'll see it's all over the Torah. It's a Mrs. Aseh Deoraisa. It's brought in Rambam. Every korban that was a chatos or an asham that was brought for some avera that was done. There was vidui dvarim in front of the kohen. In this week's Parshas Chukas, you'll see in Perek Chavalef that when we were bitten by the snakes and we realized, this came from our lashon hara against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu. So what was our response? And the answer is, our response was the norm. We knew what the norm was. You go to the tzaddik, you do vidui dvarim in front of the tzaddik, in order that he will then bring our bakasha to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's in the Pesukim. So I just quote that now because it's literally Parshas Chukas, so we may as well. Perek Chaf Aleph. Let me just quickly show it to you. Vayishalach Hashem ba'am es hanachashim hasarafim. Hashem sent these burning, deadly snakes. V'nashchu es ha'am, and they bit the people. V'yamos am rav misrael. A lot of people died. Thousands of Jews died from this. So how do we respond to this? Do we find a weapon to smash the head of the snake? Vayavoy ha'am el Moshe. What did they do going to Moshe? How's that going to solve anything? Vayomru Chatanu, we made a horrible mistake. Ki tibanu b'Hashem, we spoke against the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ach, and you hitpalel el Hashem. And
you, it says?
Yes, and Moshe Rabbeinu. That in the previous psukim, we were complaining to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to Moshe. Actually, says those words. And now hitpalel el Hashem, please pray to Hashem. Vayasim aleinu et hanachash, and remove this nachash, v'yitpalel Moshe b'adam, and that's what Moshe did. So if one wants to pretend, I'm not going to say that's not fair language. If one wants to say, Rav Nachman made this up, the Viduniks. So the first thing you have to do is ask a very simple question: is there a precedent for this? And if that precedent is in the Torah, where is it? And so we're going to be looking at that at Be'iyun Be'ezvat Hashem in the coming weeks, but for now, we're still in the first paragraph. The first paragraph is very powerful. That first paragraph is claiming, and this is how it starts, K'sh'adam yodea, when a person knows, yodea is lashon hava, which means it's happening now. So you have an awareness right now. You know right now, shekol me'oraisav, that everything that happens to you, from the word me'or is light, ra is bad. The good and the bad, me'oraisav, that's how it's spelled. So the good and the bad, whatever happens to you, the word happening, we don't have a word for happen. It's all, many words in the Torah are mistranslated innocently, like mikra happened, me'oraisav happens. No. And ra is in the same word because it's interpreted as good or bad, but really it's only good. If I really know that everything that's happening to me is actually l'toivasai, for a person's benefit, zois habechina, this connection, the word bechina we said means connection. This connection that you're connecting what happens to you, that Hashem is doing this for your benefit. Hi me'ein olam haba. This is a glimpse of the world to come. In the world to come, there's only good. This world is a world of questions. Got lots and lots of questions. The world to come, that's the world of answers. Now, if I start recognizing, and I'm aware, K'shir Yodea, that means it's happening round. K'shir Adam Yodea, he knows now. that whatever's happening to him is actually for his benefit. So then, even if I don't understand all the details, but I know it is l'toivasi, Hashem loves me and it's only for my good, then I'm able to plug into God's reality. And what's God's reality? He's only doing things for my benefit. I misinterpret it as it's painful, it's suffering, it's galus, it's exile. This is bad for my family, this is bad for my health. And I go on and on and on. And Hashem said, look, whatever happens is only for my benefit. So if something hits me health-wise, that's my benefit. Because there are many people, myself included, who indulged so much in junk food that I endangered my life. I shared the story with this a long time ago, and it took many doctors till I finally went to a reflexologist who said to me, after checking the muscles in my feet, that my metabolism was actually quite strong, but it looked like I was abusing it. Did I do a lot of athletics when I was a kid? I said, yeah, I played soccer a few hours a day. And she said, well, that makes sense, but you've got a couple of years left to continue the habits you have in eating. And she understood that I was eating a lot of junk, and I was paying the price. I drank on average 1.5 liters of Coke and Sprite a day. I was.
Can I ask something now? Or rather,
yeah, go ahead.
So, we hear this concept very often. This thing that it's all for our good, but in the moment, even Rav Nosson says that the Rebbe told him you can't feel it. So let's say even my mind tells me it's for the benefit, but right now I can't handle it.
Right.
So I'm not seeing it, even though I could say it's good. So
right.
How do you actually live it?
So the answer, I believe, is, as we're going to see here, Keshe Adam Yodea, it's from the first two words. Where do I know anything? In my pinky, my elbow, my stomach? I just finished that last point. It was because of the diagnosis I was given. I got about 2 years of continuing eating junk, and then I would kill myself. The junk would kill me, so that turned me around. I haven't touched Coke or Sprite or any fizzy drink.
I had the same situation.
In 40 years.
Same situation.
So Dr. Rosenberg has the same thing.
At age 30.
At age 30. So I could say it was bad, but really it was good. It actually saved my life. This is great. This junk food saved my life. I could have continued doing that, maybe not as extreme as I was, and I would have lived. I would have hurt myself for a long time. Everything that happens, there's not just a silver lining. That's what we're going to get into very soon. Your question, which is right on target, is when it's happening, it's clearly not good. Whether it's physical pain, whether it's news of a Chas v'Shalom, someone was nifter, or in the family Chas v'Shalom, or there's an accident and a person has been badly injured. That's not good news. And I'm going to say, that's great. I'm so happy. We're going to interpret it the way it is, and that's why we're in this world where it looks like Hatoiv and Hametiv, and then you've got Dynamis. So because we're in the process, we're never at the end of the story. I'm 67, so I'm in chapter 67 of 120 chapters. Someone spoke to me recently about their 13-year-old, can't get them out of bed, can't motivate them in learning, etc., etc. So I said, well, first of all, let's give a context. He's in chapter 13 of 120 chapters. So don't be in doom and gloom that this is not going to be turned around. There's plenty. So first of all, context is always what's missing when I focused with a microscope on the detail of what's taking place right now. With a panoramic view, there's a different picture. So the question is, how do I get out of the immediate focus of pain and the interpretation?
It doesn't help.
Sorry?
It doesn't change anything.
So
October 7th didn't change that. I know ultimately October 7th is for the good. It will be for the good.
And even now, even right now, it is.
Shmuel is asking, if I may,
yeah.
How do you handle the present?
Yes.
With all of the troubles that are going on and the perception of the pain and the real pain.
Right.
How do you handle? I think that's what you're asking.
So
how do you smooth over the present so that you can feel somewhat optimistic about going to the next stage? Is that what you're saying?
I think the key is in the first two words. There's a lot of strategies which we're going to get to. It's not going to be all today, but we're going to get to. The main one I'm going to touch on is right now. the main one is really tefillah, and we're going to get to that too. But the first two words is k'sha'adam yodea. What do you mean k'sha'adam yodea? Where am I experiencing the bad news? Where am I experiencing October 7th? Where am I experiencing the anti-Semitism? Is it my pinky, my elbow, my stomach? It's taking place in my mind. So that means to say that it's only got life because I'm giving it life. And the life I'm giving it it's a bad life. It's a battle. Life is a battle. Marriage is painful. It's one long battle. And that's my interpretation. What happens if I were to know that Hashem put me in the fast track? That by being married to this person who is frequently, chronically complaining about me, to me, what would happen if I would suddenly realize, one second, this is not about me. And we're going to see, Bezrat Hashem, hopefully I've got it in my notes for today, is that everything that happens to us, we know it, but that every single person that surfaces in our life is God speaking to me directly. Everything that we experience is Hashem speaking to us directly. And we're going to, Bezrat Hashem, I looked at it, we're going to see Rabbi Yitzhak Breiter in his Zayin Amudei Emunah actually makes the claim that the most significant direct communication that Hashem has with us, locally and globally, is our spouse and our children. That whatever interface we have with them, it's really God speaking directly to me. And it's not about the insults, it's not about the differences. They are all, every single one of those insults and every single one of those seemingly very stark differences in how to raise this kid, stark differences in what we should be eating, where we should go, where we should live, how we should raise the children. There's so many differences that surface. It's not about the differences. It's really not about the differences. Because shalom is not about getting the other person to be like me. Shalom is the coexistence of differences. Differences coexisting. That's a Torah, maybe one day we'll get to it. It's in Torah Pei, in Likutim Moran, where Rav Nachman says the Lashon, Ikar Shalom, the main shalom, peace between two people, is Shnei Chafeichim, two opposites that are mischaber, which come together. So it's not how brilliantly I managed to get my spouse to be similar to me and my mindset and as religious or inspired as I am. That's not where it's at. Where it really is at is how do I coexist with this person, and it not be a script, but it be absolutely real. The God, you chose this child. I did not choose this child. Okay, maybe on a spiritual level in Shemayim, maybe we did, but right now in front of my eyes, this child was born to me, and this kid is, I don't know what it is, but is like disconnected. I don't know if there's a label yet for it, but the particular disconnection is he's brilliant at learning, but socially, I don't know what it is, and people don't even notice it. You've got to live with the kid till you realize he's off. It drives you nuts. He's off, it's not 100%. And it's driving me nuts. And God says, look, I gave you this kid to help you change. The only person you are capable of changing. So it's not about the differences. It's a message to me. And the more I ignore the message and turn the mirror against my kid or spouse or people or next door neighbor or my client or my boss or my coworker or my partner, and before you know it, I'm showing everyone the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. And Hashem says, no. If I'm going to look at the bad in you, what I'm only recognizing is what's bad in me. There's a great cartoon. People go to the library and there's this whole big section of self-help. And then there's another section right next to it of how to change other people. And in front of the self-help, there's nobody standing there. In front of how to change other people, there's a big crowd of people. And God said, look, no, I didn't give you this spouse. Yeah, bring children into the world, yes. Have companionship, all the good pluses. But the biggest plus, the real bonus, the real purpose of marriage is how will I get along with a different person? And if I messed up the first one, go on to the second. It doesn't make a difference. What matters is, who am I now? Kish'adam yodea. Now, if I really know, right now, that what I'm experiencing is taking place only here, between my ears, nowhere else. It's actually impossible to experience anything outside of my mind. It's impossible. We mentioned last week. If a person's got das, ma chasata. Im das kanisa, if you've purchased this, you've got everything. You're not missing anything. Im das kanita, if you've got this awareness, ma chasata, what are you missing? Im das chasata, if you're missing this das, ma kanisa, what have you actually gained? What do you have? So Rashi says, everything else I have is meaningless if I don't have this. If I don't have this das, I'm finished. I've already told you Christopher Reeve. I met him about 20, no, maybe more now, probably close to 30-something years ago. He was a very famous actor. He was known as Superman. So he played in all the movies called Superman. No one here has heard of him, or the movie, but one or two people have been enlightened. In a previous lifestyle. So he was in a horseback race, and he fell off in one of the hurdles, and he was telling us in the audience that he made a terrible mistake. He wasn't living in the now, because his mind, as he was falling from the horse, he was thinking, I'm going to get up, jump back on the horse, and be in the race. Who knows, I might still have a chance of winning. So he said he wasn't paying attention to what was going on in that moment, which was he's falling. So he wasn't paying attention to how he was going to fall. So he woke up 3 months later, after a coma, a total paraplegic. He was completely, from the neck down, paralyzed. The only part of his entire body that moved were his eyes and his mouth. So he was able to see and speak, he couldn't move his head. Nothing. And he died that way. It was astonishing. He lived and died that way for the rest of his life. Here's Superman reduced to a complete quadriplegic. And he said, the first words came out of his mouth. You saw it, he was wheeled on in a wheelchair. He's wearing an apparatus that's strapped to his chest that would stimulate his heart and his lungs so that he could breathe enough oxygen to be able to exude one sentence at a time, which was with obvious effort and strain. And after he said one sentence, you heard the microphone taking the breath to be able to say another sentence. Wow. And the first words that came out of his mouth were, I've never been more happy in my life than since my accident. And I'm going to, yeah, right, you're a good actor, but give me a break. He's a quadriplegic, for heaven's sake. He can't do anything except see and talk. And he then said, because I discovered the real me.
To say what?
I discovered the real me.
Oh.
I've never been more happy in my life than since my accident, because I've discovered the real me is not my body. The real me is not the many homes I own. The real me is not even the tens of millions of dollars or the 500,000 fan mail that I've received in the last 4 years. He was in the accident 4 years ago, and he admitted he's been in and out of depression until he realized that his real enemy was not his body. He felt like his body's his enemy. He's in prison. And who put him in his prison? I can't get out of this. He even said he wanted to commit suicide. He couldn't commit suicide. He would sit there. Anyone there? Could you please pull the plug? Someone? Anyone? I beg of you, please just pull the plug. He couldn't. No, he couldn't do. He was stuck in solitary confinement until he realized the real enemy was not his body. His enemy was his mind. And if he didn't stop thinking, why me? He's just going to waste away. And then he realized all he's experiencing is only taking place inside his mind. And it was in a split moment that he changed his whole life. He realized that the real me is my mind. And if God only left me with a brain and a heart, I could still choose to be happy. Even if I couldn't see and talk, I could still choose to be happy. And they gave us examples of true happiness. But the point is, there are men...
What could bring him happiness, not materialistic things? Going bigger.
So he described that what he did was he put his assets into a huge fund. It's a $120 million fund that would fund research for spinal injuries. And he said every few weeks they're getting a new breakthrough. And with that research, he would visit teenage quadriplegics. Now here's a teenager either at home or in rehab, in hospital, or he's in home, he's totally depressed. His friends don't really enjoy spending time with him anymore because he's depressed. Who enjoys spending time with someone who's depressed? So he said he would go to their homes and visit them, and this is Superman, right? Okay, now not so super, but he's still a man. He's visiting this teenager and showing him that with the money that's been poured into the spinal injury research, there's a promise. He said, I promise you that in your lifetime, you'll be able to use your limbs again. And this would give hope. He injected hope. He said, now he's got so much meaning. He was busy. He actually made a movie of going around telling people. I don't remember the name of the movie, but he wrote a book, his life story, when he asked his wife, why do you still love me? He can't. He's not a husband. He's not an asset. He's a liability. She took 2 hours to dress him every morning. Well, some ladies take that amount of time to dress themselves, but it took her with help to dress him every morning about 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's a dead weight. So he asked her sincerely, why do you still love me? And she looked at him and said, because you're still you. And he blew his mind. He wrote an autobiography called Still Me. It was a pun on his physical inability to move. He's still, physically still. But still me, the real me, that's still there and it's getting better. And he gave examples of the real me is chesed. He didn't use that word, but he said, doing kindness, seeing the good in my wife. He said, real me is when I smile and she smiles back. This is what the Gemara we quoted last week. Im das kanisa ma chasarta. If you've got this, you're missing nothing. There are people out there they think they've got everything.
How do you deal with the physical discomfort, though? The physical pain? I'm not talking about mental pain.
So physical pain, I'm just going to be honest, physical pain only takes place in one place. It takes place over here. Dr. Sarno, who was Dr. John Sarno, he wrote about pain. Back pain. Shoulder pain, back pain, mostly back pain.
Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah, started with back pain. He was a spinal surgeon who, after I think it was 30 years of spinal surgery, realized that he took a group of people who had no pain in their back, and he had them, paid them, did CAT scans, and showed that there was the same frequency of inconsistencies in their spine as people who were complaining about pain, and you could see whether the hernia or the pinched nerve, etc., was. They had the same average number of complications on the X-ray, but weren't complaining about pain. And this made him wonder, what's going on over here? Why aren't they complaining? So he started a theory which he proved to be correct, that actually pain is caused from a deprivation of oxygen to the muscles, and that's what causes this extraordinary, excruciating pain. And the cause of the lack of oxygen to the muscles is actually stress in the mind. That when I'm stressed, the oxygen is not going to the body the same way. My heartbeat is not even the same. Every cell in the body listens to what I say inside my mind. When someone's depressed or, God forbid, suicidal, or says, I'm going to die from this terminal cancer, and they say it enough times, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Oh, and my spouse, my children, what's going to be with them? And I continue this again and again and again. I'm actually quoting someone. Her name was Wendy Sagesti. I heard her in person. She had stage 4 cancer, and most women with that particular cancer don't survive, 96% don't survive 5 years. She was in her 8th year, and she came up on stage after I was having a conversation with her, my wife, in the audience. We didn't know she was the next one to give a speech. And she gave a 7-second speech. I memorized every single word. She said, I have cancer. I'm not cancer. My body has cancer. I'm not my body. She completely divorced, well, not a great word to use, but she completely distinguished between what's going on over here and what's going on over here. I'm not my body. Yeah, my body has cancer, but that's not me. I'm not cancer. I'm my mind. And she said it took her months and months of depression to get out of the mindset, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And with that mindset, her body was in bed 20 out of 24 hours. She couldn't get out of bed. She was so depressed. and she was worrying about her husband, what was going to be with my 2 sons. She couldn't stop talking in her mind about she's going to die. And then she realized, it took her 4 months to realize, I've got poison in my body called cancer, but I've also got poison taking place between my ears, and who's providing all the poisonous thinking? Oh, that's me. Where am I going with this? It's like, it's like the pessimist who says, there's no point in being a pessimist. It doesn't work anyway. So, we're not talking about positive and negative thinking. We're talking about reality thinking. Where is pain actually taking place? So this Dr. Sarno, I like his name. It was mentioned to me by a relative of mine that it's in his name. Tsar, no. Say no to Tsar. He was brilliant because I remember I had excruciating back pain. Excruciating. I was in so much pain. I was on my back in bed. I was able to lift my head up a little bit. Someone lent me a video of Dr. Sarno. It was excruciating boring. It was boring like, when you're a speaker and you have to listen to someone speak. So you hold yourself and others to a different standard. And this guy was monotone and it was boring to the nth degree. And yet, but the teichen, the content, I was fixated on. So I really had to divorce the gift wrapping from the actual content. But it was astonishing. I suddenly realized a 2-hour video was really long. And they didn't have fast speed in those days. You had to speed up the video. It wasn't a CD or DVD. So 40 minutes in, I suddenly realized about 80% of my pain was already gone. And this happened to many people, tens of thousands, not a guzma, tens of thousands of people testify that just watching the video or reading his book, I can't remember now what the mind over pain, something like that. Sorry?
At the end of the video, you had no pain?
No, it was 80% gone. Because what he reveals is that if you understand that pain really starts here, and it's experienced here, and it's triggered by stress. So once I know it's really stress, my body doesn't have to divert my mind from the stress by giving me physical pain to get stuck on the physical pain to get me away from the much worse, because it's being fed by the stress. So now I'm not thinking about the stress because I'm in so much physical pain. So it's a deliberate decoy that the body has. It's wired in by Kodesh Baruch Hu that my body will get itself ill. I can lower my immune, literally lower my immune because I can't fall asleep. Why can't I fall asleep? Because I can't stop thinking about how that person really hurt me. After all I did for that, I come out, I feel so betrayed. And the thoughts are going on and on and on. And before you know it, I'm not sleeping enough. And then my immune is down and I catch a really bad cold, turns into bronchitis or pneumonia. And now my mind is focused on getting better from the pneumonia because I'm coughing and it's really hurting in the chest. And before you know it, my mind is not so much on the stress because it's been decoyed, diverted by the physical pain. And it's really my body doing that to get me better. Yeah, but I'm ill now. No. The real illness is over here. So by the time I get better, I'm in a different state of mind to appreciate. I'm so glad I can go back to work. I'm so glad. And my mind is freed up from not all, because the suffering is still there, but it's a brilliant way to get my mind off. So he points out that people who've got excruciating back pain or neck pain, all they have to ask is it what's going on in my personal life that might be correlated to stress that is actually the real cause of the physical pain that my body is making in order for me to be less focused on the actual mental stress. And once I know it's a game, I see it's a movie. It's not real, it's a movie. And now once I know it's coming from the stress, I can actually let go of the stress to some extent because I know that the body is just telling me, oh, you're just stressed out. I know a person who right now has 9 different ailments in their body, 9 different separate ailments, and it's all stress related. And each time that they are more focused on the stress, then the shingles is really, shingles, I don't go into it, but it's a stress on the nervous system, which is always there if a person had, I think it's chickenpox from childhood, and sometimes it doesn't leave the system. How does it get triggered? It gets triggered by stress. And it can be very, very bad because it can cause excruciating pain. And it's not actually really pain. It's really only because of the stress. So the body starts in the mouth, sometimes goes down the back, and then goes down the thigh, and the person can't function because their mind just, I can't think about anything else except the pain. That's brilliant. It diverts me from the stress. But the more I avoid stopping the stress taking place over here, the more my body has to turn up the volume of the pain till I focus only on the pain, the physical pain, in order to stop thinking about the stress. But the real problem is what I'm thinking. So this is what Rav Nachman in his opening words, K'sh'adam yodea, in the now, yodea is present tense. I know, where am I experiencing everything? The answer is in the now. I know that it's taking place over here. And the moment is literally a split second. I'm not asking for a intellectual experience. This is not what he's asking for. He's asking for us to know this because you're experiencing, where is this taking place? Oh, K'sh'adam yodea, when he realizes that whatever he's been through was actually good, then he gets a glimpse of Olam Haba. Some of us have had those glimpses in our lifetime where you suddenly realize, my gosh, this was such a blessing. I can't believe what a blessing it was. This divorce was the best thing that ever happened. This difficult child was the best thing to ever happen because I became so sensitive to all my other children that I'm raising them much better. And because I'm a better parent now, I've got a better chance of actually re-healing with the child that I messed up big time. There's no ra. It's only lessons. It's only invitations. And when I refused the lesson one time, God is so in love with me, he'll give me another chance and another chance and another chance. How many chances? No, I got 120 years of chances, and then it's din v'cheshbon. Let's make it a full accounting. But k'sh'adam yodea, if you know, where's this all taking place? So the way the mind works, Rav Nachman talks about this in Reish Lamed Gimel. He tells us that you cannot have two thoughts at the same time. It's impossible. Your mind is so fast that you can actually go from one thought to another I do believe it's faster than the speed of light. I'll give you one example. A person could be in a traffic situation on the highway, go 70, 80 miles an hour, even more, and in a split second, a car swerves out of control, maybe a flat tire, and suddenly loses complete control, and in the swerving comes full circle now facing you, and you're going 80 miles an hour, and you've got a split second of how to manage the situation. In that split second, your eye will pay attention to your side mirrors, your front mirror, and your brain will take in all the information of cars in front of me, opposite direction, both sides of me, and this one coming towards me, and you'll make a split decision of what to do with the steering wheel. Do you go on the gas or come off the gas onto the brakes? And all that's taking place, but your mind is not taking all this information in simultaneously. It's actually one thought at a thought. And that's incredible. It's actually
one thought
at a thought. It's not. It's one thought at a time, but it's all. Let's say you've got 1 second or less, half a second. So in that half second, you've got to take into consideration hundreds of small details, and then make a decision based on that. And that's all taking place in a split second. And each one of those details is a separate thought. So your mind works extremely fast. But you can't contain two thoughts simultaneously. That's impossible. Even in the physical world, the spiritual and physical are perfect parallels. So this watch is taking up the space that it's taking up, so nothing can get inside the space that this watch is presently containing. So in the spiritual world, it's the same way. You can't have two thoughts simultaneously. You can have one thought after the other, but you can't have them at the same time. It is possible that a person could experience, like in a dream, you could experience many years of a dream and really happen in less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Rav Nachman talks about such an idea, and people who've actually died clinically but came back, they call it end-of-life experience, and then they come back. We talked about it a bit. They sometimes have a panoramic view where they actually re-experience their entire life from the moment they were born till they died. And it all takes place in less than a second. It's not really even happening in time. It's taking place over here. In your mind, there is no time and space. because your mind doesn't take up any space. The brain does, but your thoughts take up no space whatsoever. You're living a spiritual existence. So what we're saying here is, when a person realizes, I only exist one thought at a thought. So when I'm experiencing frustration or depression or anxiety, how long will I experience that for?
Till your next thought.
Till my next thought. So how long will this thought last? As long as I feed it, as long as I think it. So how far am I ever away from a new thought? You're always one thought away. One thought of teshuvah, a hero of teshuvah, changes everything. It's possible a person can be koine olamai b'shah achas. And a shah doesn't mean 60 minutes in an hour. It can be one moment. A person suddenly has a complete change of mind. And in that moment, they are a changed person. And they will never, they have a hachlata, a decision. They cut off all other possibilities. They will not go back to being that way again.
But doesn't the Rebbe say that Hashem sends us the thoughts?
So we're going to touch on that when in Rietti Brisa. We're going to talk about where all thoughts that come our way are really invitations for me to change me. And it is true that there's a system, and Hashem is the one behind that system. But it's actually the thoughts originate from thoughts I've had in the past, and everything I do creates a spiritual force. That force, call it a malach. That thought creates a malach. We've talked about this in Gemara. A thought creates an angel. In English, it's called an angel. It's a spiritual force. So that malach, that spiritual force, is created by what I think, and every thought creates one. Every word creates a malach, a spiritual force, and every action creates a physical, a spiritual force. It's those forces that actually lead me in the direction I want to go in. That's the Gemara in Makkah stuff, Yud Amud Beis. The direction a person wants to go in, and the word there, "want," really means it's a very powerful want. It's a rotzen. It's a very deep rotzen. They accompany him. So the Marashah pounces on the grammar. The words don't make sense. B'derech is lashon yachid. One person is going in a direction. B'derech sha'adam is one person. Roitzeh, he wants, is one person, not roitzim. Leilech, to go, it's one person. It's not holchim. Moilichin, they accompany him. Moilichin oisa, who's they? So says the Marashah, every thought creates a malach, every word creates a malach, every action. And all those thoughts and words and actions are in escrow, and they are pushing me, helping me go in the direction I want to go in. So if a person wants to do an Aveira, they will help him find the wrong people to get mixed with and do more Aveiras. If a person wants to clean himself, those malachim will now accompany him in the direction of finding the right rehab or the right place or the right eitzes or the right a strategist, right friends or right sefer, right rebbe to help go in a better direction. And we're going like this all the time, but when we go more like this, up, down, up, down, up, down, it's more up than down, we're making progress. So, yes, it is true, there's a system Hashem created where we are actually creating our destiny, but it's a system Hashem set up so that we are the ones who are actually deciding what we create and to what extent they're going to direct me in that direction. It's possible for a person to create a malach that wipes out all the other malachim. When a person makes a very strong commitment, absolute, I'm not going there ever again. I don't care what. And they mean it really, really. And now Hashem says, okay, let's check to see how you do with this Nisayan. And the person refuses. So that malach he creates with that commitment can actually wipe out all the other malachim and start. He gets a whole new. So that is a whole new clean slate. That's possible. So that's something to discuss another time, but the point I'm bringing out is in the very first two words, Kusha Adam Yodea, when you have this awareness that you exist inside thought, and you're always one thought away from a completely new thought. The cup is really this. The moment I realize, why am I feeling depressed? Because I'm thinking depressed. I'm feeding my own depression because I'm thinking about the reasons why I should be depressed, or anxious, or fearful. And so I give power to that thought, and then that feeling is manifest from the thinking. I can't feel what I'm not thinking. It's impossible. You can only feel what you're thinking. There is no such thing as feeling something other than what I'm thinking. It's impossible. Try it. Try. It's impossible. You can only feel what you're thinking. So my thoughts create my feelings. And once I know that, then this is such a beautiful gift that Hashem gave us, that we've got a feeling called ka'as. I feel angry. That is a friend. Our feelings are our friends to tell us what we're thinking. Because I don't pay much attention to what I'm thinking. I really don't. And because I'm not aware of what I'm thinking, so Hashem says, okay, I'm going to create your body in such a way that your body feels what you're thinking. So if you're fearful, your body will shake for a moment until you might calm down, that you realize, oh, it's a dog and it's on a leash, or it's tied to the tree. Or you see this dog and it's not tied to the tree and it's barking and it's running towards you, and now what should I do? Shall I run? Shall I protect myself? And then suddenly you realize the dog can't get outside this invisible, I don't know what they call it, there's a special name for it, where there's
Electronic fence.
Electronic fence, thank you. There's an electronic fence in there. Phew. And it happened to me recently. I was taking a shortcut home, and then this Shabbos, I said, I'm not going to take that shortcut again because I don't want to come up with that Alsatian. I said, 1 second, I know what's coming. He's in an electric fence. I'm afraid of the dog. I'm afraid of Hashem. So I said, I'm going anyway. And I was singing on my way home a song that I made up for myself about going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, and I wasn't thinking about the dog, and suddenly he comes out from behind the tree screaming, like barking and barking, and I had this second of, and then I remembered, oh, why am I fearful? Because there's this dog, but I know there's this electric fence, and sure enough, it couldn't get anywhere. So it's interesting because Hashem said, okay, Rietti, you think you're so clever. So as I turned the corner, there's this huge bear, huge, walking towards me, and I'm thinking, okay,
Probably an electric fence.
do I panic? Do I continue walking, or do I use my common sense and maybe not take this shortcut after all? And Hashem sends a car getting out of his driveway, and the bear, as the car comes out, the bear runs down. It's a steep thing into the river there, and it's out of my path. And the car takes photos of it, and then passes by me, stops, and says "Good Shabbos" to me. And I say "Good Shabbos," and it says, "Be careful, there's a bear there." As you walk past, thank you. I noticed it also. I said, "You look like you got some good shots there." So they showed me the thing. The point is, where am I experiencing all that? It's all taking place here. So Adam Yodea, it's the first two words. When you know that what you know is what you're thinking, now you have a chance of letting go of the fears, and letting go, because fear is a thought, of letting go of, oh, they're superior to me. I can't stand up to this army. Well, that's true if Hashem's not in the equation. But if Hashem's in the equation, we might be able to start going towards David Hamelech, who couldn't care less if an entire machaneh, an entire encampment of battalions with superior numbers and superior artillery is surrounding him. It didn't make a difference to him, because Hashem, you're with me. What's the nafkamin? If it's 100 warriors facing me or 1 million, makes no difference. And so David Hamelech, which is what we're going to get to in just a few moments, this is the pasuk that Rav Nachman wants to bring as the text proof that it makes no difference. Once you know this, it makes no difference if you're experiencing din or rachamim. If you're experiencing puranut, which is part of what din is, extrapolation of, sometimes it's translated or mistranslated as punishment. It really means payback. I'm being forced to pay a debt. That's what puranut literally means. So this experience, this connection in your mind, that what you're going through, we're on page in this edition is Tesvav, and it's Torah Dalet Aleph. We're in the very first two lines. This connection that you're making in your mind, that what's happening to you, good or bad, is really all for your good. It's all for your benefit. It's a glimpse of Olam Haba. K'moshe Kosov. Now he's bringing from a pasuk into Tehillim, Perek Nun Vav, chapter 56, verse 11. B'Hashem, in the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's the name of Hashem who's Rachamim. Ahalel Dava, I will praise. The word Halel, actually, I just checked it out in Badak, Actually, the word praise is our translation from the, I'm not going to say that, which religion gave it to us, but Hallel, he says it's an Inyan of Simcha. So the praise that you're actually saying in the word Hallel is because you feel happy. There's a Simcha in it. That's what the Radak is Reb David Kimchi, he was a Rishon. Minyan Simcha, Min Kodesh Halulim, he brings lots of rayas. Kiruv Inyana Hu Simcha. The real thing is, it's really talking about Simcha.
Is this possible?
And on this, he quotes on the word Hallel. Ubeisa chupa nikra b'lashon Rabbeinu, in the words of our sages. And he quotes Bava Metzia Daf Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. Bei Hilula. Hallel is when we call a chuppah, we call it Bei Hilula. It's a house of Simcha. So Hallel we translate as praise, but what's the praise? We're continuing another. From Jew is marrying a from Jewess, and they're going to bring children into the world. Be'ezvat Hashem. That's a huge joy. So the praise is actually a totzah of the simcha. So the real inyan is simcha.
So it's not only that he will that I will say thank you. It's rather I will be happy because HaKadosh shows me a sign of something.
So David Hamelech is saying it doesn't make a difference to him if he sees a sign or doesn't see a sign. As far as he's concerned, he's going to respond the same way. And the Aleph in front of Hallel, which we looked at last week, means I will. And I will it's almost a smack of arrogance, because how can any human being say I will about anything except I will die? Okay, that's the word emet, which means emes. I'm going to die. That for sure. So that's the only thing I can say I for sure will. But everything else, I don't know if I will be on time. I don't know if I will recover. I don't know if it depends on so many other factors. But David Hamelech reached a stage in his life where he had been through so much that he saw, Hashem, you're with me all the time. You never let me down. And therefore, I've reached a point where I can actually say honestly and truly and sincerely, without 1% of doubt, a Hallel Davar. I will praise you for whatever you send me, whether it's obviously you, Yud Kei Vav Kei in Rachamim, or whether it's Elokim, which is a Midas Hadin. I will praise you. So it happens to be that the Gemara, the Rav Nachman is quoting it out of sequence, meaning the order is wrong over here. I'm going to say wrong. It's not the order that's in the pasuk. The pasuk starts off with Elokim Hallel Davar, and then it's Yud Kei Vav Kei. But it's interesting that Rav Atiyah, on his Perush on Likutim Ran, he points out something very interesting, that this is something that's common in the Gemara. The Gemara, he is quoting the Gemara in Brachas, where it's also quoting it out of sequence from the pasuk in the Torah. So Rav Atiyah brought a Tosfos in Megillah. I just checked out this morning, Daf Gimel Amud Beis Amud Aleph, the last Tosfos on that on there. So the Tosfos points out that there's a pasuk by Yalin Sham, and that Yeshua slept that night. He didn't actually sleep that night after they failed with Yurich, the Achan took from the spoils. So the Tosfos points out that many times our sages in the Gemara will quote a pasuk out of sequence, or will put two psukim together as though it's one, when really they're being borrowed from two places, and said that's a derech of Shas. So it's not an unusual thing. And it happens to be that in Ein Yaakov it's also quoted out of sequence. So Rav Nachman's quoting the Gemara that quotes it out of sequence. If you want to get into a reason there, you can find it. I'm sure you can find a reason why it would be quoted first Hashem and then Elokim. But in the meantime, Zois HaBechina.
Simple. When you see Hashem, you see the Rachman, then you could accept it.
Yes.
You can't start
Yes.
again.
Yes. Excellent. The quoting it this way makes it easier for us to accept it when it's done, because we've seen so much rachamim, and sometimes a person can realize lemafreya retroactively that there was so much rachamim in what I thought was bad, that there's a famous story of a guy, a gentleman who his whole panasa was his horse. His horse. All his panasa came from him being able. I'm not sure what his particular panasa was, but he needed his horse to take his wagon wherever he went for his panasa. And then the horse went missing, and people said to him, it's like sitting shiva. He's lost his horse. How's he ever going to? So they said, we're so sorry, such a terrible thing happened. And his answer was, who says it's terrible? And then sure enough, a few days later, his horse comes back having spent time with some wild horses, and they came back with him. Now he's got 4 new horses in addition to the old one. So everyone came in like he's really rich. I mean, what you can do with 4 more horses, that's extraordinary. You can sell them. There's all sorts of benefits. So they said, "Wow, you're so it's so good." He said, "Who says it's good?" The story's not over yet. So who says it's good? And sure enough, his only son, is trying to tame one of the wild horses, and in doing so, the wild horse goes and it goes on its hind right up, and the boy is thrown off the horse, and he breaks both legs. And everyone comes and pays solace to the poor father, who now his son is crippled, and said, "We're so sorry. This is terrible." And said, "Who says it's terrible?" And how are you going to interpret? He's crippled, for heaven's sake. And then a few weeks later, the Tsar sends his army, and all the young men are conscripted into the army for 25 years. And this kid is crippled, he can't go in the army. So it's not the end until it's the end. And even after 120 years, it's still not the end. There's Gilgal, there's Gehenna, and then there's Olam Haba, and then there's Tchias HaMeisim. So it's still not the end till the end. And the very end is really good. Tchias HaMeisim, it's really good. It'll be a beautiful, beautiful ending. And that's what Rav Nachman talks about. I think it's in Torah Lamed Gimel. In Tinyana, he talks about that if we keep focused on the real Tachlis, that means the real end of the whole story, then there's really what to be happy for. Hold on, the movie hasn't ended yet. We're not in the last chapter till we're in the last chapter. So if you're on the level of David HaMelech, who says, this is a bechina, this connection of what you're thinking is paying attention to, no matter how good or how bad it is, you're not fracturing it. It's all good. Then this is a bechina, zois ha-bechina hi me'en olam haba. This is a real glimpse of the world to come, where there is no bad news. It's only good. As we say, we did this last week, and the Gemara asks on this, how can you say, then Hashem will be one? Meaning now he's not one. Our sages answered, because now we split our experiences into good and bad. When it's good, we make a bracha, when things go bad, it's a tragedy, we say God is the true judge. The word emet is the only 3 letters that could mean reality. We translate it the Christian way, which is truth, which is not bad, it's just not the whole truth. Reality is the correct translation. I heard this from Rabbi Shimon Schwab. He was he was very meticulous that Lashon HaKodesh should be translated correctly. So emet really means reality. Contained in reality is emes, is truth. But the real emes, the real reality is Hashem. That's why Hashem is the only reality, and that's why we have a pasuk we attach to the end of Kriyat Shema, Hashem Elokeichem Emet. Hashem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei Elokeichem Elokim. He is the real picture. Now reality has to be that if I'm only here for 100 years out of 6,000, obviously I don't have access to the reality. Because I got a very, 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 very tiny aperture of a view of this world and my life. So my emet is not the emet, and someone else's emet is also not the emes. It's not reality, it's only their reality. The only reality is Hashem's reality, and Hashem's reality means the word emet has to be the full picture. That's why in the full picture, Aleph is the first letter, Taf is the last letter, and Mem is juxtapositioned exactly in the middle. It's the middle letter of the alphabet. So that means to say that for reality to be reality, it's got to be the full picture. Aleph to Taf. Aleph is the highest point of Ruchnias, that's Elokim. We've talked about it a bit before. And Taf is the lowest point in Gashmias. So that means that the entire world, both Ruchni and Gashmi, which is the panoramic view of everything, only Hashem has complete picture of that. So with the Mem juxtaposition exactly in between, means to say that Emet, reality, has to be also in context without distortion. Sheker, which we translate as falsehood, or if you want to call it fake or artificial, Sheker is 3 letters, and each one of those letters are not in correct sequence, and they are all bunched together at the end of the Aleph base. Shin, Kuf, and Reish are very near the end, which means it's not in context, it's not giving you the full picture, and therefore that's why it's Sheker. And that's why this world is Olam Ha-Sheker. It's the ultimate Sheker. It's not really the real world. The real world is Olam HaEmes, and it's from there that Hashem so to speak, has the panoramic view of everything. So that's why when we call Hashem Dayan HaEmes, we're saying you are the real judge. Because when someone is brought to the death penalty, it's not fair. What about the wife and the children? Who's going to support them? So there's no full perfect justice. But in Hashem's reality, there's a reason why every single calculation of every detail of this person going for the death penalty, why everyone who's affected by that is also getting something that actually is part of their tikkun. It's not a punishment, it's a tikkun. We mentioned this before, we don't actually have a word for punishment in Yiddishkeit. It's a very fascinating thing to actually go into, because all the translation translates schar v'einish as reward and punishment. Schar does not mean reward, it actually means compensation. And it's always translated as agra, which means payment for time or a service. And the word einish actually really means to see where I've fallen away. And Puran also means payment. And even the word chet and asham, every word avain, they're all translated in Targum as chov, which means a debt. So I incur a debt with an aveira which has to be paid. I compare it easily with teshuva, that's a discount. And if it's real, then I can turn it into even ava. From ava, I can turn it into a schus. That's incredible. That's pure chesed on Hashem's part. But even if not, then kapara, if a person goes through suffering, it's not an oinesh, it's in the sense of punishment, it's actually a cleansing. It's actually getting me closer to where I need to be. So everything is only good. In that.
Who don't have a tikkun, they don't get punishment?
Sorry?
Rishonim will never have a tikkun.
So,
punishment?
So the Minchas Yehuda, which was Rav Fatia, who was a huge Mekubal, a real tzaddik MS, he was a Talmud Mufhak of the Ben Ish Chai. It's called Minchat Yehuda, his sefer. Yeah, he's had many Sfarim, but this particular one goes through the stages that a person goes through from the moment they die, and between dying and burial, and then Chibut HaKeva, and then the various stages till they're zoicha, literally zoicha, they're deserving of Gehenna. So there's kafakela, and there's some other things which are not very pleasant before getting into Gehenna. There's Gilgal, which he quotes. He started recording every single situation where ruchais would come to him. Ruchais ra'is would come to him for their tikkun. Rav Nachman was big on this, and the Baal Shem Tov before him also did this a lot. The Ramchal also was involved in this. That's why the world that's not into Nistar can't handle this. That's why it's so spooky that their initial response is the world is Nigla. We stay with Nigla. We don't get into
Mara
it.
says that if we would have seen all the mazikim and we couldn't have sustained.
In Malay Ayin Ray, if Ayin could see, a person would literally go out of their kelim. And as the Gemara in Brachas Davav, it tells us that there are 1,000 mazikim on the right side, I think it is, and 10,000 on the left, or vice versa. I don't remember now. And if we were to see them, sorry. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's our eyes will not be able to handle what we see. Right. There are tzaddikim in this generation who deal with neshamas. For sure, and the neshamas who've passed away are coming for their tikkun, and some of those neshamas are we thought they were huge tzaddikim, but in Olam HaEmes they are found to have been chasa for causing the deaths of thousands and thousands of Jews. I'm not going into it. I don't want, but there are tzaddikim who have such people come to them for their tikkun. It's a very interesting parsha. Rav Nachman was into this a lot, and the Baal Shem before him. But even in every generation, you got tzaddikim who Rav Nachman himself davened that he should be able to see a mace, and the first time he saw him was like he was very scared, and he said the reason why is because this mace was actually a real Rasha in the previous life, and so he got scared. But after that, it didn't happen. It's not at liberty for me to share, but I've heard stories from Talmidim of tzaddikim in this generation who were waiting to go into a particular tzaddik. I don't have permission to say his name. I didn't ask permission, but I try and get it for the future if I'm allowed to mention it. And he was busy with someone inside his room. There's no other entrance to his private room except this entrance. So this friend of mine, who is a Talmud of this particular tzaddik, is waiting for the conversation to end. It was going on and on for hours, and is wondering what's going on. Finally, the tzaddik comes out of the chamber, and There's no one in the room. He goes. My friend goes in the room. There's no one there. So he said, well, where's all the people you were speaking to? So he told him they were neshamas that he was being matapel with, and some of them have been to him many times because they still haven't finished their tikkun. So there is another dimension that certain tzaddikim who they never use their eyes for anything other than toiv, that they are able to see. So the Rav Nachman does talk about that in Reish Nun Daled. He talks about that if a person were able to see what's really going on besides his physical eyes, there's koiches in the bria that we're not given permission to see. But if a person has eyes which are kaddish, they don't feast on anything they're not supposed to look at, then they can see things which are way beyond. David Hamelech had eyes like that. Shmuel Hanavi didn't chap it until Hashem told him himself. When he was lined up, his 7 sons, Yishai brought his 7 sons, and Shmuel Hanavi didn't get the nevuah for who's going to be the next king. And finally, Shmuel Hanavi realized this doesn't make sense. I asked you to bring all your sons. Do you have any other sons? And Yishai was embarrassed because there was one more who was kind of the cotton, and he was considered to be a mamzer by his father and the sons, all his brothers. So he reluctantly brought David Hamelech, wasn't Melech yet, and when Shmuel Hanavi saw him, his response was, "Oh my gosh, who Edomi?" And when he's Edom, and that's exact language that the Torah gave to Esav when he came out of the womb of Rivka, because he was red complexion, red hair, but that was a reflection of the inside, that he was fire, and he was going to use that fire to murder. So who Edomi? Im Yafa Einayim. So Hashem said, yeah, you're right, he's got that fire of killing, but he's got beautiful eyes. What do you mean beautiful eyes? Who cares what kind of eyes you got? So beautiful eyes, so the Gemara tells us, is referring to he will only kill Brishus the Sanhedrin, because the Sanhedrin were called the eyes of the Eidah, and those are the eyes he had. He only had eyes for what Hashem tells is emes and reality, based on the Masorah, on the Hachamim. Im toiv roi, and he sees beautifully. Good, he's got a good eyesight. It's not 20/20 eyesight. He looked at the good in people. That's Azamra. He would look at the good in people, and that was his saving grace. So from that moment onwards, that's when he started. He sang many songs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in those 28 years that he wasn't king. But from that moment onwards, he got Ruach HaKodesh. It was taken away from Shaul HaMelech, and now it was placed on David HaMelech. And it's from then on that he actually wrote down all his 150 love songs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu of all his hispodas. So eyes can see way beyond, and when they can see, you're getting a glimpse of Olam Haba. That is something that Kasha Adam Yodeh, when he really knows that what he's looking at is not Ra. And then he can actually just be a participant. He can relax, no matter how bad it is or how bad it seems. Hashem is only good. Because Hashem is only good, he can actually look at the movie, and he can ask the movie actor, why do you ever get like so angry when you're playing the part of anger that you actually feel angry? And the guy will say, no, I have to put it on. It's just it's not real. It's really not real. So if it's really only Hakol B'dei Shemayim Chutz Mi'ot Shemayim, that everything that's happening to us is coming through other people to us, but Hashem is the one who's they're orchestrating all the puppets, then what ends up happening is that person can enjoy the show. He can sit back and relax. And if he knows that he's a participant, in the sense that my tefillas and my machshavas tovos and my ma'asim tovim can play a huge contribution in the tikkun ha'olam, so now that tzaddik is able to participate, but he's getting a glimpse of Olam Haba much more frequently, because Olam Haba is taking place right now. Any questions? Sorry? Sorry?
Started with the Mechas Yehuda.
Yes. So he tried to give a tikkun to Shabtai Tzvi. The Ben Ish Chai told him to be very, very careful. So he was not matzliach in the end, but he
did, right?
Yes. Yeah. Nassan of Gaza. Right.
Nassan?
Nassan of Gaza was.
Shabtai Tzvi's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was Masakin.
Yeah.
But he writes.
So, but there is such a concept that a tzaddik emes really wants everyone to get their
Even the
tikkun.
people that says in Chazal have no tikkun.
He was Masach.
Have a tikkun eventually.
Yeah, so I never managed to get a full answer to this, but the lashon of the Gemara submissioners is the eluhen she'ein lahem chelik b'olam haba. So I don't know if it's from the Arizal. I don't know where I ever saw this, so I can't be quoted in terms of having a source. I don't remember the source, and I've asked a few people. I'm still trying to find out. Ein lahem chelik l'olam haba. They don't have a chelik, but there are tzaddikim who will give a chelik of their chelik to this person, so that he does get a chelik in olam haba. So the lashon is meduk, and it makes sense because Rav Nachman.
I'm sorry.
So he's asking the Rishonim who the Gemara says ein lahem chelik l'olam haba. So there is such a thing as they don't get. So I know that the Gemara there, the Mishnah is actually, there's 3 of them are Jewish, I think it is. Doeg Achitophel was a third one, and the 4th one was Balak. So Ein Lahem, they don't have a chelik in Olam Haba, but there is a concept, and Rav Nachman talks about this. I think it's in Lamed Hey in Sichas Aran and other places, that he'll give a levush, meaning he'll take a chelik, so to speak, of his, and it's not giving away from him because it's like a ner. And when you take a ner, you can be doilik, you can ignite other neres, and you don't diminish the source of the fire, the original fire. So there is such a concept that Hashem will bring about.
But if naturally they're not getting it, then their punishment is punishment. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not period.
So that's not a Minchas Yehuda. He claims that every single one of those steps, that Chibut HaKeva and the Machalei Abala, that comes between dying and Kvura, and then there's more Machalei Abala after he's already buried. They pull out the neshama from the grave. He says all of it is not bechinas puranot einish. He says it's all a cleansing. Then he gives a mashal. He says if you've got a garment that is badly stained, so you need to wash it. But often it won't be one washing. It might be more than one wash. It might need more than one type of detergent or bleach, and another, till you finally get it out. So if someone's got a very badly stained garment, and the neshama is actually even itself is sometimes called a levush to the chelik elokam imal, that is always pure tahirehi, but the garment of his neshama has been stained from the aveiras. Sometimes those aveiras are so bad that he's got to get a lot of different cleansing, and that might include gilgul, and it might include kafa kelach and malachi chabala, etc., until finally he gets all the stains out, and then he can go to Gehenna for the final cleansing. Then he goes to the final tikkun, and then finally gets into Gan Eden for the mitzvahs that he did do in his lifetime, or were caused by him in his lifetime. So he actually says it's not einish, and it's not puranut, it's a cleansing, and that gives that mashal in order to understand it. So, for example, he said it better than I said it. He said, imagine now the garment would turn to you and say, leave me alone already. What are you doing to me? You're drowning me 100 times in this and putting bleach and all these chemicals. What are you doing to me? Why do you hate me so much? And you say, what are you talking about? I'm trying to cleanse you. You started off beautiful white, pure white, and I'm just getting you back to the original state. It's not because I hate you. I'm not trying to hurt you. Happens to be, it's very painful but the ikar is to know that Hashem's only good. Does that help answer that? Somewhat.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Testing, what did I say?
Go ahead. You can do first.
So going back to I got here in the middle, so maybe it was answered already, and I apologize if it did.
No problem.
But going back to the thoughts you were talking about.
Yes.
So parallel to the Rebbe says in the Goyshe Welt, right? There's this thing of power of manifestation, right?
Yes.
The rich are getting richer because rich people think big.
Right.
Poor people getting poorer because poor
Yes.
people they think small of themselves.
Yes.
So they keep getting.
Right.
So the common question everybody keeps asking is like, it almost you see like in their world it's the universe, right? For us it's Hashem, for them it's the universe.
Right.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
It seems like a cruel system. Why? Because somebody becomes poor, right? And now you have poor thoughts. Or somebody becomes depressed because bad things happen in their life.
Yes.
And now they have bad thoughts, and it seems
Right.
like a loop that never ends. And then it seems very unfair, like people have good things in their life,
Right.
they have good thoughts. they keep getting. So it seems like it's a very unfair system, and it just basically everybody goes to their extremes.
Right.
And like, where's the beauty in it?
Right.
But I don't know if the Rebbe, what the Rebbe is saying is exactly the same as
So-
manifestation. But if that's the case, like, what is the answer to that?
You're asking a fair question, because actually with the title of this presentation is positive thinking versus negative thinking, or is it neither? Is it reality thinking? So if you look at the life of David Hamelech, you would easily fall into the trap of thinking, hey, this guy had every reason to throw in the towel and be bitter and angry and resentful. He suffered so much from family. He would be decades in therapy for the rejection he experienced. And he needs a lot of healing, Nebuch. And then even after he was king, he suffered. His own father-in-law attempted to assassinate him multiple times. His own son Avshalom rebelled against him in such a way that he abused 10 of his wives and was going to planning to kill him through Achitophel, whatnot. So he really suffered a tremendous amount. So it almost, when you start looking at Tehillim, which was his response to his life, and any one of those Tehillim which starts off describing one of the situations he found himself in. Let's say in Gimel, when he's running away from Avshalom, you think, oh great, now we're going to get some details. But instead, all he talks about is praise. And he keeps coming back to his default. God is only good. Hashem halal dava, Elokim halal dava. Well, how do you do that? So are you in denial of all the negative? No, he was honest about the negativity. He said, Dalfa nafshi mutuga, one of my favorite psukim. It's in Perek Kuf Yotes. I think it's pasuk Chav Ches. Dalfa nafshi mutuga, my soul drips with agony. Oh, so you're a pessimist. And what's his next word? Kaimeni kidvarecha. Support me like you said you would. Meaning, and what's he going to look for now? And who's he talking to? He's not talking to his therapist. He's not talking to best friend. Kol Adam Kaizer. He was talking to the ultimate therapist, Rebbeinu Shalom, with all the suffering I'm going through, which I haven't even got enough words to describe, that my soul is dripping. It's saturated, and it's beyond meaning it's only dripping because it's overflowing from agony and tsar and yisurin. But I'm looking for your support, because you promised me through Shmuel Hanavi, and then later on Gad, was it Nasan Hanavi, that I'm going to be king, and you also promised that the dynasty that I'm starting is going to be forever. So I'm holding on to your promise. So David Hamelech, any pasuk you look that describes what he was going through, but tsar hirchavtali, in the tsar hirchavta, you made room enough that I could breathe. I wasn't so constricted that I couldn't see anything good. Hirchavtali, you actually made room for me. You opened it up, and Rav Nachman talks about that. Kuf Tzadik, hey, it's so David Hamelech was the paradigm.
In every battle.
So he was into reality thinking. What's reality thinking? It's what we're talking here. God is only good. And even though there's an initial interpretation, it's bad, dynamics, it's good, hatov emativ. But in Hashem's dictionary, actually it's mein olam haba. This world has a chance of being mein olam haba, that when a person, k'sha'adam yodea, is in the present tense, he knows that what he's experiencing is l'toivasoi. Now he can let go of even future experiences that will be initially interpreted as bad, and know that actually it's good. So that's why the Gemara quotes Rabbi Akiva with Kol David Rachman Latav Avid, and his Rebbe before him, Nachum Ish Gamzu, and it gets Paskin and Shulchan Aruch, Hayv Adam Levarach Ala Toiv, Kishim Mevarach Ala Ra. And the Gemara learns out that we're learning to do it b'simcha. That's this pasuk. It's all about simcha. Halal means simcha. That's why the pasuk is talking about. Rav Nachman quotes this pasuk and not any of the other. I think 4 different pasukim that the Gemara in Samach Amud Beis in Brachos quotes different pasukim for knowing that when things go bad, you're grateful. That's an option. So in the self-help world, the most recent of the various different, like Napoleon Hill, Think Rich and Grow Rich, etc. Think and Grow Rich, and then you've got all sorts of gurus in the self-help world, and then they came up with the power of thought in terms of the law of attraction. So these are almost always, you'll find it as a Torah concept, but when you look for the source in the Torah, you'll see it's not talking about positive thinking and negative thinking. Because that is exactly what Rav Nachman is trying to collapse over here.
So rather,
reality thinking. It's when you know that the bad is l'toivascha, and when sometimes put under the microscope, you'll see that the bad contains much more seeds of good than the good apparently seems to have. That's when a person can live the way David HaMelech did, and that's why he's the paradigm, he's the role model of who to go to when things go bad. Open up a Tehillim and talk to Hashem.
But even in the
Sing to Hashem. What?